Mitch McConnell, the lowest known form of parasite on planet Earth, seeks to raise the tobacco age to 21 nationwide. He calls teen vaping, quote, a serious threat. Now, I'm 21, so this law would not apply to me. I'm not worried. In fact, I've been drinking since I was 17, so it's not like the law ever mattered to me in the first place. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I believe. But see, what they're doing, I want you to understand it. It's incremental authoritarianism. Not only are 21 laws a waste of time, not only are they inconsistent with the age you can go to war or buy a gun or all this other shit, it's such a blatant agenda. It's one thing at a time. You were warned 10, 15 years ago when they started banning smoking in restaurants. Now they're going a step further and they're going to raise the tobacco age for all tobacco products, smoke and vape. And then they're going to ban vapes. And you know what? At this point, why not just ban it altogether? Get the job done. At least then you'd have a black market for it. You know the age when your parents can legally kick you to the curb for any reason? That would be 18. Your life is shit and you just need a little cigarette to relax. 18, well, not anymore. Pretty soon in America, if you're old enough to die for your country, 18's not gonna cut it. You won't be able to have a drink or a cigarette until a whole 3 years later. 3 years, you could be kicked out onto the streets scrounging for every meal with zero rights available to balance out your chemistry. 3 years is a long time, mate, and I couldn't wait that long, so I became an alcoholic, just to troll the people who said I couldn't. And I'm not glorifying the behavior. Don't mistake me for one of these people who glorifies drugs. I'm just saying that's what happens. Meanwhile, in Europe, where teen drinking is tolerated, there are less alcohol-related incidents, less alcohol-related casualties, etc., etc. Check the data. The United States is a nanny state, and you wonder why our children aren't learning personal responsibility. It's because you don't want to let them make their own decisions until they're in their 20s. In their 20s. Think about that. And don't give me that horse shit about the prefrontal cortex. Alright, I did fine without it. It's like your appendix. You don't need it. It's an unnecessary part of your body. You're gonna die anyway. Take a shot and have some fun. You know, I'm done with America. You know, I've been around the world. That's why I've been gone most of the time. And I went to France and Iceland and all these other unique places. So tonight I am renouncing my U.S. citizenship. I'm French. That's it. Well, I mean, I'm not going to fill out the paperwork because that would be acknowledging the government's existence. Plus, I'd have to pay them, and that seems kind of counterproductive. But I renounce my citizenship nonetheless. France, take me. I'm a pretentious intellectual with a passion for obscure cinema and could actually finish a book every once in a while. I like bitches with armpit hair, butter, and wine. Believe me, you will want me on your side. So where was I? Oh yeah, smoking bans. Like these truth ads on TV. I'm sure you've seen these. The little puppet shows. They show the one cool puppet chilling with all the normie puppets. Like, did you know vaping is safer than? And before he can finish his sentence, he gets bleeped out with a buzzer. Safer than. That's verbatim from the commercial. That's the whole commercial. And they call themselves truth. But ironically, it's a scientific fact that vaping is safer than smoking. Does that mean vaping is completely devoid of risk? Of course not. But all the studies have confirmed that it's 100% safer than smoking. So when you ignore that, you can't call yourselves truth. You are literally the opposite of truth. You are literally bleeping out the truth in your own ad. You are pathetic. Now, I used to buy Juul products, but I stopped recently because the company put out a statement in response to legislation raising the smoking age. Here's their statement. We strongly support raising the purchasing age for all tobacco products, including vapor products, to 21, and have been actively supporting legislation to do this in states across the country and at the federal level. We cannot fulfill our mission to provide the world's 1 billion adult smokers with a true alternative to combustible cigarettes, the number one cause of preventable death in this country. If youth use continues unabated, and what do those two have to do with each other? It's like the number one cause of preventable death, okay, but what do the youth... Those are two different statistics. It's like, if you're really concerned about people dying, well, those youth aren't actually going to die until they're older, and they are of legal age to buy cigarettes. So you're just fucking yourselves in the ass here. Tobacco 21 laws fight one of the largest contributors to this problem, sharing by legal age peers, and they've been shown to dramatically reduce youth use rates. That is why we will continue to work with lawmakers across the country to enact these effective policies. Well, talk about shooting yourselves in the foot. But nicotine by itself is proven to be as harmful as caffeine. So what, do you want to ban energy drinks too? Little Ricky's drinking bull semen and toxic waste every day so that he can focus in school, and his parents applaud him. Oh, he's doing great, but is that a watermelon cloud I smell? No, not my boy! Hold him down! Yeah, you know what's gonna happen, guys? The same thing that happened to alcohol. As soon as kids turn 21, more of them are gonna start using tobacco because it's edgy and it's cool when it shouldn't be. Juul knows this. They've sacrificed some of their customers in the short term for more customers in the long term. So, I mean, because of this statement, I think I'm going to have to start smoking again, or at least find a different e-cig. Congratulations, Juul. You now officially suck. What about the 18-year-olds already addicted to nicotine? You're going to just force them to quit? Well, guess where they're going? McDonald's, 3 times a day. You say, okay, Jake, well, I'm totally with you on the premise. We shouldn't be doing this. It's pointless. But I can't sell alcohol and cigarettes to minors, or my store will get shut down. Yeah, tell that to the Indian guy down the street that I bought off for 4 years before I was legal. He asked for ID, I showed him my credit card. It's a fucking joke. Money talks, ladies and gentlemen, and the economy is shit. Quit whining and start grinding. Jake, are you seriously saying that legitimate businesses should break the law? Yes, and don't get caught. In his famous letter from a Birmingham jail, Martin Luther King wrote, quote, "One has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws." He goes on to make the distinction between just and unjust. Quote, "Any law that uplifts human personality is just. Any law that degrades human personality is unjust." And by the time I turned 18, alcohol and cigarettes were a big part of my personality. And the government sought to degrade that personality. Therefore, I had a moral responsibility to break their law. But in the US, we have a plethora of unjust laws, particularly for minorities. Take your pick. We live in a nation where felons are denied the right to vote, even after serving their time. Many of them non-violent drug offenders. Meanwhile, the private prison industry gets filthy rich off of their incarceration. A system founded on the preservation of slavery. Literally. That is a fact. There's this great book called American Prison that delves right into this. I recommend that everybody read it. It's quite illuminating. The government banned psychedelic drugs so that they could have a more willing population of 9 to 5 drones who will forego their ambitions to buy a billionaire another island. The government has befriended despotic regime states like Israel and Saudi Arabia out of simple business interests. This is not a democracy or anything close. This should not be news to people, but unfortunately a lot of people watch CNN. Bernie Sanders wisely points out that no matter what crimes you've committed, you still have the right to vote. All human beings have innate equal rights. This is not Marxism. This is from the Founding Fathers. This is one of the founding principles of Western civilization. Whether you choose to exercise your right or not is entirely up to you, and this is where I disagree with Bernie Sanders. I don't believe voting is important at all, but I do believe you should get the right, no matter what. And most likely, most of these violent criminals that CNN brings up, like the Boston bomber, probably wouldn't give a shit either. The fact that most people feel threatened by a murderer who's already in jail, putting a check mark next to a name that they don't like, really speaks volumes as to what pussies and cowards we are in this country. What abject fucking losers. I didn't vote in the 2016 general election because I was a Bernie bro, but I'm not donating. But, I mean, get the right. Just get the right. Get as many rights as you can. The whole point of rights is so you can say, I have rights. That's it. That's all you need them for. It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's why we have dead kids, because it's your right. Kids have been shot in school because of your right. Isn't that wonderful? Though, to be fair, if having a gun was truly a right, every baby would be given a gun straight out the womb and just be like, hey, that's your gun for life. What the Second Amendment should say is you have the right to purchase a gun if you have enough money. Now, I've been for legalized marijuana forever, before it was even popular. In fact, I think all drugs should be legalized right now. Fuck your kids, I don't care. Put heroin in candy bars, I don't give a shit. Completely legal. But there are some downsides. First of all, it's going to be taxed as shit. Now, I am not against taxes all the time. I want to see Bill Gates have a bad day, just like any other good socialist. I think it's about time Bill Gates wakes up one day and says, fuck, it's tax day. That would put a smile on my face. I don't care how many jobs you create. One of them is going to involve you blowing me, the common taxpayer. I think every billionaire should be assigned one homeless person to take care of for the rest of their life. They have to take care of them until one of them dies. That's it. I have no problem forcing billionaires to do shit because they can. Literally doesn't affect their lives in the slightest. I'm not against taxes, but let's be consistent in our application of them. New studies have shown that shitty diet is actually worse for you than smoking. A lousy diet kills about 11 million people a year. You know, I think it's about time we tax every sale of a Big Mac in this country and put a $6 tax on that. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you. I can't make out what you're saying. You're talking with your mouth full. Oh, that's big government? Oh, that... Okay, so you'll stop taxing alcohol and cigarettes, right? Quit taxing my vices, and let's try it on you. Where's the referendum on taxing churches, the biggest scams on the planet? Nobody ever talks about that. Not only should they be taxed, they should be investigated for crimes that they got away with and keep getting away with, for kid-fucking operations. And when mega corporations like Netflix and Amazon pay zero in income tax, zero, the media barely even mentions it. But when it's a drug, oh, go ahead. Oh, come on. Oh, $20 a gram? That's perfectly reasonable. No, it's not. Have you never bought weed before? That's not a reasonable price at all. But when it's a soda tax or a fat tax or a property tax, my rights. Fuck you. One of the other bad side effects of legal weed, and this also counts for, and this also, one of the other bad side effects for legal weed, and this could also apply to raising the smoking age, is that you take these products away from the people who need them the most. High schoolers and college kids. Now, don't get me wrong, I hate these people just as much as anybody. They're annoying. But I also gotta be honest, folks. Weed was pretty much the only reason I didn't end up dropping out of high school, and I dropped out of college instead later, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And to think that 10, 15 years later, if I was just born 10, 15 years later, I wouldn't have that opportunity to start thinking in new ways and stop giving a shit about what people thought of me at such an impressionable age. To be robbed of the experience of smoking weed as a teenager, I mean, holy shit. I honestly feel sorry for these kids who are being overprotected. You were destroying what is supposed to be the most wild and innovative time in your development. Picture this. Little Donnie's a lonely kid. He has no friends. He can barely even work up the courage to talk to girls. He's antisocial. He has a fucked up home life. When I was in high school, I was this kid. Then one day, I smoked weed, started having new ideas about the direction my life could go. I stopped caring what other people thought of me. That's something they don't teach you Now, little Donnie's hopped up on Adderall in a room with no windows for 10 hours a day, robbed of the opportunity to chill out with a joint. He's embraced nihilism because it's the only thing keeping him together. He plays tic-tac-toe on his arms with his scissors and dick vapes in the restroom. Well, he did, but now he can't because they just raised that age as well. And now, thanks to legal weed, his parents get to go to their jobs all giggly and relaxed and come home with a fat wad of cash, while Donnie is reduced to slave labor, no paycheck, hundreds of thousands in student loan debt for college. Let's go to Tom with the weather. Hi, Tom. Thanks, Jake. Today's forecast, cloudy with a chance of school shooting. I know, we can't joke about mass shootings anymore, but let's look on the bright side. We may have lost some good kids, but who knows how many asshole kids we were spared from, growing up to destroy the world. It's so terrible. How do you know? That kid might have grown up to be a serial killer, next Ted Bundy or a JP Morgan exec or some shit. You don't know. And the chances of any one of them being the next Einstein, I'm sorry to tell you this, are pretty fucking dismal. For every 2 garbage men dead, we lose a boss's son and a Brie Larson. I think that's a fair trade. Say you survived a school shooting. Okay, here's something a little less morbid. School bullying. One school shooting hits them hard, unexpected, tragedy ensues. Kids are scarred for life. They got counselors up the ass, the teachers get guns, whatever you want to do. After witnessing their classmates get shot, they're gonna think twice about picking on little Timmy. Haha, loser. He's gay, you know? Yeah, I saw him with the Woody in gym class. And one kid's like, guys, we can't do that anymore. Timmy's got straps. I've seen him. Now all of a sudden, Timmy's got a new posse. And sure, he's a little sociopath, but he might spare them. Give him back his weed.